The show is made possible in part by its supporting sponsors: Blue Water Power Group of Companies, Joe's Discount Tire, and AskGuy.ca. There's another fellow I've been trying to connect with for a while, but life gets in the way sometimes. But Jimmy Allen, thanks so much for having me in your home here.
Thank you, David. Thank you for having me.
And
boy, I've been looking forward to this.
Me too, because I our friendship, began like a few years ago, but it was sort of in passing a little bit. And
Sure.
We've chatted.
I knew who you were. We were always cordial. We spoke to each other, but we never had a chance to hang for a minute.
Yeah, this is great.
Absolutely.
I usually go like, okay, where do I begin an interview? What's the first thing I ask? I mean, you're a professional musician, and you have been since like 1975.
Yes.
Yeah.
Straight out of high school. I started playing at 9 years old. I started playing lead guitar, electric guitar, and I played for 2 years, and I switched to bass.
Okay.
And it was the best thing I ever did.
Because that's what you're known for now.
Yes, that's my claim to fame.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term.
Right.
Yeah. I'm a bass player, and primarily I'm a fretless bass player. So shortly after I started playing, my dad bought me a Fender Precision fretless bass. Fretless in the sense of violin, viola, cello, and acoustic bass. So conceptually, I always look at it like on a fretted bass, especially in the upper registers, you have this much space between frets. Any place that your finger falls in between that space, if the bass is tuned perfectly, is your note. If you're playing a G, it doesn't matter, where it falls at, it's going to be a G.
So you don't have to be as
precise
with your placement?
With a fretless bass. If this is your G and it's perfectly in tune, if you had a strobe tuner and the strobe was sitting perfectly still, that would be flat. That would be sharp.
Oh, wow.
That's how precise it is.
So you better be good then.
Well, you know what? It took me the better part of a year when my dad bought me this bass, but I was frustrated, but not frustrated, to give up and say, okay, I'm going to trade this in for a fretted bass. It was not an option.
Right.
I liked this when I first saw it. My dad and I walked into Sid Sherman's Music downtown Chicago. And as soon as we got off the elevator, I saw this bass maybe 15 feet into the store. Mm-hmm. And because it was different, I wanted it.
Yeah.
I wanted it. I was always, and still to this day, I'm not a follow the leader type of guy.
Okay.
I have
set your own path.
I played in my own drum. No.
You played at your own bass.
I played in my own bass.
You got your own rhythm.
Right.
There you go.
And after the year, it started making sense. And it was my first love, and it still is to this very day. I do play fretted bass, and that's a whole nother story. If you see me playing, my first choice is fretless, and I played and enjoy playing fretless bass so much that I play all genres on that bass, which is kind of different, because
very eclectic that way.
Yeah, most people have a tendency to say, okay, I'm gonna pick up my fretless on this jazz tune, but
I see.
I would play fretless bass on R&B gigs, on rock gigs, to the point of where it became just a bass, and it was not something that I used. And a lot of times, most times, the ultimate compliment to me was that people would come and they would see me, they would be sitting to my side, and they'd say, my God, I didn't know that was a fretless bass, because I wasn't sliding into the notes, which is kind of the way that I wanted it to be. Go right to the note, because I'm always listening to be in tune.
That's a real, sorry to stop you there, just like to make that choice to go, like you say, off the beaten path, the rocky road, so to speak.
The road less traveled.
Right.
Yep.
It sounds to me like there's a philosophy behind why you did that. Like, why not just pick up the bass and get really great at a fretted bass? Why did you take the rocky road?
Well, that is, at that point, that's the kid I was.
Yeah.
Now this is still the man that I am.
Yeah. That comes from your dad?
It's in the blood.
Yeah.
It's in the blood. For me, I don't know. I've always been very, very spiritual in the sense that the things that happen in my life are meant to happen. That's the way I look at it. They're meant to happen for me to reach my destiny.
You say spiritual, you mean religiously or
spiritual in the sense when when we start talking about religion, we get into organized, where people believe this is this and this is that, and I'm okay with that. I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. But at the same time, I've traveled quite a bit, and I could go into the synagogue and sit.
Right.
I could go into a Buddhist temple and sit. The power. There's only one God. The power of God, even if you don't understand the language that they're speaking, it's there. You can feel it.
I've always said that religion, best explained, would be different paths to the same destination.
Correct. I like that. I like that.
I learned that from my teachers a long time ago. You can have it. I stole it from my teacher, my grade 7 teacher, and I'll never forgot him, Mr. Reed.
Yeah.
That's so. Let's talk more about the traveling too. I mean, you've been all over. Like, you're here in Sarnia, but you go between here and Florida.
Yes, between here and Florida. So Bev and I, my fiance.
Yeah, Bev Boone, right? And she's a
Beverley
realtor
Boone.
here in town.
Yes. So she's a realtor.
Yeah.
She's Remax realtor. Right. And if you're thinking of buying or selling, Bev Boone.
There you go. There's the plug.
519-918-4663.
There you go.
She's the best. And not just because she's mine. She is.
Yeah.
She is. I watch her at times, and it's like, this woman goes above and beyond.
Yeah. You'd have to in that business.
Yeah, in that business, because, it's a little too close for me. She tried to get me into real estate.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah. It's not my gig either, and I have a lot of friends that do, of course, but But music's your path, and the traveling and everything between here and Florida. Like, what takes you back and forth? Is that a seasonal thing, or is
it's a seasonal thing? So season in Florida is where all the quote unquote snowbirds go.
Yep.
From the north, most people are from a lot of people come from Michigan, the state of Michigan. A lot of people from Indiana,
right?
And a lot of Canadians.
Yeah.
So Bev had a condo there that she sold shortly after we got together, and we bought a place. She was in Cape Coral. We bought a place further south because when I first got to Florida, gigs that I was getting were South Naples and beyond Marco Island,
right?
Which would take me an hour and 45 minutes to get to the gig, and then you play for 3 hours, and then you drive back the other way.
Yeah.
I mean, no problem. This is what I do. This is what I've always done. But we moved to Bonita Springs. We bought a place there together, and so season in Florida is 5 times as busy as the off season.
Right.
So so down there, I'm usually traditionally between 4 and 6 days a week.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to work around the calendar because
Right.
I need that one day
You're
off.
working. Yeah.
You know, and the last couple of seasons I've been going for 2 days off at least because I owe it to Beverly to spend time with her. We're
Sure.
there. We're
You gotta have a
we're in
life,
the
too.
sunny state. Let's go to the beach. She
Yeah.
loves the water. Let's go
Oh,
to
yeah.
the beach. And you know, I'm not really a beach person, but when you love your woman, you become
That's what she
that
likes,
person.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what she
You
likes.
got to make those You got to negotiate those things.
We do, we do. And so, with that being said, it's very cool. The first little bit you coming here after Florida, and I realized that this is not this is Sarnia.
Mm-hmm.
That's Florida, and they're two different things.
Oh, I would think so.
can't make this be something that it's not. So I take a
Right.
I take a handful of gigs. Really, it's a whole different music scene
Yeah.
here. It's a lot less work, and so I came to understand that, you know, there are people that I enjoy playing with here.
Yeah.
And so I book, you know, maybe a dozen gigs over over the time that I'm here, and this room here is short of having a place to sleep down here. This is where I spend the majority of my day.
Yeah. I like that. Let's talk business here for a moment as far as we can go with that. Like, you know, you talk about two different animals, as I expect. I've never been down that way, but I know I got to get down there. But, you know, I've lived in Sarnia all my life. I've seen from a little boy living across the street from Huey's Junkyard to now, right? You know, and I'm not a musician. I'm an entertainer, but I've observed a lot. And
You're still very much an artist.
but I mean, from my perspective, observing musicians in town, like yesterday was Canada Day after recording this, and Rick
Yes.
Steves was down there, and I said to him after, I go, I just love the way you make that thing sing, right? And other musicians like Sue Weber and everybody down there, but a lot of them have traveled over the years because they recognize that there's only so much you can do right here.
Right.
And,
Right.
you know, I'm going to put myself out there, but I hear musicians sometimes talk about their frustrations with not getting paid enough or what they consider fairly here in Sarnia. I know some that, you know, years ago, like you got paid $100 a person. And 30 years ago, that was great money. But some of them are still getting paid the same today. My question is, I don't like to use the word fault, but where does that lie? Is that on the musician, or is that the bar owner or the gig?
It's on the
payer?
musician.
Yeah.
It's on the musician.
For agreeing to it.
It's on the musician on in the sense that, bottom line, you don't ask, you don't get.
Right.
They will give you that $100 and send you on your way. If you'll take $50 for a 3-hour gig, as ridiculous as that is,
They'll let
there, you know, somebody's going to take that $50.
Yeah.
So it's like when the real estate business is a buyer's market.
Right.
You know, they don't have to, you know, play hardball with the person that's selling it because, you know, they can go down the street and get them to,
Right.
you know, get them to negotiate. But what I'm saying is, and I always say that, I say this to my students. I teach periodically and have been for a while. That if you don't ask, you do not get. And be prepared to lose that gig.
Yep.
Be prepared to lose that gig. If you don't stand on it and stand firmly, then they still have the upper hand.
Right.
You know, when the first season that I played in Florida, and it's not just here, it's every place.
Yeah.
You go to Chicago.
It's the same thing.
You know?
It's
I
all-
mean, it's
yeah.
a little bit better than $100, but still,
Yeah.
it's not what anywhere what we're worth, the time that we put into our craft.
Right.
You
Plus,
know,
you're typically playing weekends.
huh?
A lot of weekends,
A lot of weekends,
right? Where
Yeah,
you could
yeah.
be, I
Yeah,
just assume
yeah.
be with my family if you're
Yeah.
not paying me, right?
Yeah, and you could be, and you have to, if especially if this is how you're going to make your living for the rest
Right.
of your life, you have to be prepared to lose some.
Yeah.
This is where I'm at. So anyway, what I started out to say was that, that's where it was at, right around $100. Even though it was U.S., it doesn't matter. $100 to me represents, to us, whether you're American or whether you're Canadian, a lack of disrespect for what we do.
Yeah.
For what we do, because if your car is broken and the mechanic says, I need $200 an hour for labor,
That's what it is.
either you're going to be without a car or you're going to pay the $200 an hour.
But I have choices. I have other musicians that I could.
Well,
I'm just playing
that's what they do, and that's what I brought to the table. I think I had 3 different, whatever it was. It was kind of like, okay, here's the way I look at this. I'm the new kid on the block, and I'm going to take this money that you're offering. I said, but next season, we're going to take another look at this. And not to go in any numbers, but I let everybody know it must have been September-ish. Season starts at the beginning of November. Here's the new numbers. Nobody turned me down.
Yeah.
Nobody turned me down. So the money's there.
Yeah.
I
mean, there's a limit as a bar, especially as a bar owner. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm bringing you in so that people come.
Right.
Hopefully, you have a following of some sort and a draw. You promote, I promote. But at the end of the day,
and we both make some money.
Right.
Right.
Now, if Bob Seeger, I love Bob Seeger, if he came in and said, "Hey, I want to play in your bar," and I'd say, "Hey, that'd be great, Bob," and he says $10,000. I'm going, like, my bar only holds 150 people.
Sure.
I can't make any money at that, so obviously that's not a realistic number. But on the local side of things, for sure, and like you can expand. You can say, well, I got a 3-piece band. I've seen this happen. It's like 3-piece band, say $300. And then they come to you and say, well, we want to add in a keyboard player, but we're going to need another $100 for the keyboard player. I might say, well, no, like, it's working really well with only 3. Why would I give away another $100?
Right. And I've had that happen.
Yeah, right.
I've had that happen. And you know what I did, didn't mean to cut you off, but what I did at that point was I had probably a half a dozen dates booked with this person. And I said, business is business, but I don't see your vision being far enough for me to continue to book dates with you.
I'll honor what I
will honor the dates that I have booked, but after these dates, we're not going to, so again. So
you've had to become a businessman and negotiator and all of this as well.
I was a businessman before I was a musician.
Right.
The older guys that took me under their wing and helped me cut my teeth and taught me the business of the business.
That's great.
Instilled in me that the most important part of this is the business.
Yeah. It's great that you were able to learn that, because I think a lot of musicians, and I guess that's why a lot of musicians have agents and managers or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
because most people don't. Most people, and some don't want to learn the business. Some just go, I just want to play, but I want to get paid to play.
Right. But with that being said, again, at a very early age, I knew that this was my path. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And whatever is involved in me doing that, I need to get on top of that. So, I mean, even business is business on any level, whether you're making, $500,000 or, or $500,000.
Yeah.
the business aspect is the same. That's when we go back to speaking on the $100. It's not that doubling that would keep me from going into foreclosure, or that I would miss a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
But it's just the fact that this is, if I say that this is what I need, then it's what I need.
You deserve to
It's
be
not,
paid for your value.
Right, and I'm not talking about on New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve is the biggest, so
Yeah.
New Year's Eve these days are $1,200 to $1,500, and that,
Yeah.
But that one night is not going to change anything,
No.
because
It's a bonus.
9 times out of 10, the artist that's booking you on this date is probably getting, 20 grand.
Right.
He brings in a quintet, and he walks away with, what, $15,000 or something like
Right.
that. But, I mean, that's fine, but some things are not negotiable. I have to look at myself in the mirror every morning as I'm shaving, as I'm brushing my teeth. And I have to know where I'm going, what I will accept, and what is unacceptable.
Yeah. It's really just life in general, too,
It's
isn't
just
it?
life. I mean, across the board, I'm that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Bev gets on me sometimes because it's not a whole lot of, my dad was the same. It's not a whole lot of what's the old saying that the old folks, malarkey. I'm not. Sometimes people have a way of just trying to treat you any old kind of way.
Right.
But in this business, I find that because, and we touch on that again, because the club owners, venue owners, promoters, whatever, they hold the power.
Mm.
They hold the power.
Yeah.
They hold the power, and they hold the power that they hold. But I hold the power on whether you get me in your bass chair.
Yeah.
That power remains in me.
That's great philosophy.
Yeah,
Great
I
way
mean,
to look at it.
and like you said, it's life in general. If you don't stand on what you believe, then basically people are going to run over you.
Yeah. Well, and we're
Not run over you, but
well, what path are you on then? Like, where are you
right,
headed? Like,
right,
it's
right.
not a real path, right?
right. Because if a person can take you and turn you around like a Tonka toy, then the path that you're on, you're walking in the opposite direction.
Right. It's where you want to be. Yeah.
Know where you're going.
Yeah.
And know that only those rough times make us stronger. Mm-hmm. When everything is like this, lack of what's the word I'm looking for? Lack of resistance, lack of problem is a threat to progress. Right. It's a threat to progress. Hard times when, man, I don't know. It's hard to put into words some of the things that go through my head that,
right.
To make it,
I'm the same way. I'm like, I don't know how to say this, but I'm pretty sure I get where you're coming from. And what's playing as a bass player? You've probably, is there somebody? I have to ask the cliche question, like, who influenced you as a player?
As a kid, probably the same players that influenced every bass player on this planet. Stanley Clarke, Jaco Pastorius, Ron Carter, Alfonso Johnson, and
good mix.
Everybody in the neighborhood. This is, but I reached a point where it wasn't about the influence. Well, let's put it like this. Even at that stage in my life, in my musical growth, I did understand that I don't want to sound like this person. I don't want to sound like Stanley Clarke. A lot of people compare me to Jaco Pastorius, and that's, would be the same with anyone who played fretless bass, because that's what he was known for.
Okay.
Or he sounded like Jocko. The influence, if you take a half a tablespoon of Stanley Clark and a smidgen of Jocko, it's okay. But what's most important is that you create your own sound.
Yeah. And you've done that.
I think so. I think so.
I think
people
so.
call me to do
I'm
what I
not
do.
a bass connoisseur, but I know a couple of those names, and you're I don't even want to say entertaining to watch. I mean, because that's almost not a nice enough word. It's more like you're just a pleasure to watch.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're performing at the same time as playing, but
you know, the funny.
He's having a blast up there. Look at him. He's just.
And that's.
I don't even know if he sees us right now.
I was just about to touch on that. There's a space that's far away from any kind of stage fright.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I was ever into an arena of being stage fright.
Yeah.
But
I know what you
any
mean.
artist will tell you, and if they don't, they're lying. Everyone that I have, we are our biggest critics.
Yeah.
We are our own biggest critics. When you said that I'm having a ball, I found that space that I know how to get into, where the people watching, they're there, but they're not there. What becomes most important to me is the unit of musicians.
Yeah.
Is the unit of musicians, and that I'm well prepared.
Yeah.
For whatever gig, you know, whether it be a memory gig, whether it be where I have to make out some charts and put in the iPad or whatever, but the space is there 90% of the time. There are those times when, for whatever reason, I'm not able to get there, but most times I have a ball. You know what I don't want? I don't want to see a video of me, because
oh no,
I'm not a fan of the way that I look, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but there's some, you know how they say base face. There's some things that go on with my face that I have no control over.
Yeah.
That I have absolutely no control over, and in at the end of the whole equation,
you're just into it, man. That's.
I mean, this is my world.
Yeah.
I mean, this is without a doubt what I was born to do.
Yeah. Anybody?
That's the way I feel.
Anybody famous or well known that you played with that you could brag about?
Well, to an extent of any amount of time, there were a couple of situations, but they're not the situations that I was in love with.
Oh, okay.
So what I have done is early 80s, an Egyptian drummer, Yahya Khalil, came into the back room, or was it the Bulls? A local club in Chicago. And he gave me his card, and it was kind of like, I was a young buck on break. I was trying to get a bite to eat. I was trying, and I told him I would call him. Long story short, I ended up accepting this job. Yahya Khalil had a condo in Chicago, but he also had a home in Cairo, Egypt.
Okay.
So they backed a Nubian vocalist named Mohammed Munir. Very well loved, very well known, and he still is all through the Middle East. So it was a quartet. We negotiated, and the money felt right, and they paid for they paid for my apartment, room and board. They paid for all of my travel, because what we did was everyone lived in Cairo, Egypt, but we toured all through the Middle East.
Oh, wow.
from Amman, Jordan, to Israel, to Damascus, Syria. I did this for 11 and a half months.
What an
The gig was
experience.
supposed to last for 3.5 months, and I was about halfway there. And we're talking about 1980. No internet, no.
Right.
So the bases in the surrounding areas could not get learning material. So it was one bassist from Turkey or someplace, and he came to Cairo to see if he could study with me. It ended up probably 12, 13 students.
Wow.
And so that's why, you know, I honestly believe that this is, my journey is about music. And just like there were musicians, most of them men, a couple of females that I learned from. They were 10, 15 years older than me, more mature, that helped me to become what I am. But I believe that if I take my last breath before this day is out, what God blessed me with leaves with me unless I share it with someone, which was those students.
Yeah.
It's like the students here. It's not about.
What are you leaving behind, right? Like,
Yeah, what am I
leave
leaving
it a better
behind?
place than you found it, kind of thing.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
but what was passed on to me, I passed on to them, and I try to teach those who I know will pass it on to someone else.
Right.
It has to. It has to be put into the right hands. You know.
I get that. I go back to, and I come from a musical family. Like my mother played the piano and the organ, so did my father, and she sang in choirs and everything. So, but I never. I mean, I tumbled the ivories a little bit. I think I can. I think I can still find middle C, but that's about it.
Cool.
But like, I never got into guitar. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. Ronnie Frey. He years ago.
I don't know that name from.
Ronnie Frey, locally here, and he
Okay.
traveled all
Okay.
over. Yeah, and I took a couple lessons from him. We lived in the same apartment building.
Keyboard player.
No, guitar player. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry, I didn't quite tell that right. But and I started learning, the basics and blah blah blah, and then I got to the point. I was in my 20s, right? I wanted to be a rock star probably
I
or
know
something.
that's right. Yep.
And
Have a guitar hanging down to your knees.
yeah, something like that, right?
Eddie
And
Van Halen.
He finally, I didn't practice, right? Until like, oh crap, an hour before my lesson, and he finally said to me, he said, "Don't bother, until you're gonna take this on, right?" And I think like you talk about this being in you, like I had to force myself to learn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't sound. You just did it. Like nobody had to tell you, pick that up, practice.
And-
do it.
and if
you were
you-
just like, you probably couldn't wait to get home from wherever and pick it up and away
If
we
you
go.
put yourself between me and those instruments,
Yeah.
you're gonna get steamrolled.
Right.
You're gonna get steamrolled.
Yeah.
Seriously.
You'll be.
And I'm the same way
when
about
this interview's
exercise.
over, will you be running into that room?
Before the day is over,
Before
usually
day's over, yeah.
the last couple of days, Bev always tells me, you're going to be tired later on in the day because my eyes pop open at 5:30
Oh,
in
wow.
the morning. So by 6 o'clock, I got the Starbucks coffee going on, and I got coffee, and I practice for an hour, and then she gets up, I fix her coffee, and maybe do something else. I'm in this room for an hour, 1 hour intervals, probably 5 times every day.
Wow.
Every day.
But I mean, that's you. That you're
Right.
professional. That's what
Yeah,
you're doing.
well, I tell again, and when I say my students, I tell them because the guys who are doing this, they're not trying to, some of us are. I mean, we are where we are. Some of us are okay where we stand. That's some guys practice for 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
But I tell my students because it's just like, we're back in school. So I'm trying to give you the foundation. You don't have to practice for 5 hours a day. Some of us don't have 5 hours a day to practice,
right.
but every day I need you to pick that instrument up for at least 20 minutes.
Yeah.
20 minutes. If you're on the way out the door while your coffee's brewing, pick it up. You know, and know what you're gonna do when you pick it up. You know, don't pick it up and play something that you're already strong at. Work at your weak points.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's the same way.
There's a gentleman that I follow for years, and he's passed now, but Jim Rohn is his name. And he would say, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Right? I mean, if you've learned the song, you've learned the song. Okay, that's the one. But go to the one over there where you get finger tied.
Yeah.
And work on that, right? You know, so
nothing worth having comes easy.
Right.
Nothing worth having comes easy.
Yeah.
If it comes too easy, then it's going to go away.
Yeah.
It's going to go away.
If you do that, it's another one. Les Brown is another gentleman that I follow, and he's if you do the things that are easy now, your life will be hard later. Do what's hard now, and your life will be easier later, right? You know, so. What is it that I mean? Let's talk about you and Bev. You know, I mean, how long have you been together?
Close to 10 years now.
Yeah,
very
close.
Very
so
close
realtor and musician. It wouldn't sound like a
match made in heaven.
Well, in some ways, but in other ways, I think it would. Like, I mean, you know, as a realtor, it's not 9 to 5. By any means. As a musician, it's not 9 to 5.
Right.
There's a lot of change in schedules, which can be a positive, but I would think could be frustrating at the same time. How do you balance that where you find the time for each other?
Well, sometimes we don't balance it. Sometimes it's very much out of balance, but the fact that we're very balanced people.
Right.
If the situation is out of balance, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
It'll be okay. I'll catch up with you tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, I am very much into exercise. I enjoy running.
Okay.
Enjoy lifting some weights. And she suggested the other day, since you're up at 5:30 in the morning, why don't you get your run out of the way? Oh, wow. I hadn't thought of that. You know, I'm determined, and sometimes I'm just not that smart. But anyway, so for the last 3 days, last 2 days, day before yesterday and today, I went out for 6 kilometers, and it was the best run that I've had in probably 10 years.
Wow.
You know, I'm not a rabbit. I'm not fast. You know.
Yeah. You're not looking to run any marathons, though.
No, but I've run a few.
Have
I've run
you?
at least 9, 10.
Wow.
Yeah, a few more. Chicago and Las Vegas. I always position myself in the mid-pack runners.
Okay.
Because I've seen the Kenyans. I do not want to be in front of them. They will mow you down. But musician-wise also, I played with Joe Sample. And that was really good experience. Joe was excellent player. Came from the Jazz Crusaders. And I got a chance to play with Wilton Felder, who was also with the Crusaders. Mm-hmm. Lenny Castro was probably one of the most sought-after percussionists in Los Angeles. He plays with everybody from Toto to...
Is that right?
Yeah. He's a blast.
Wow.
Funniest guy you ever wanted to meet.
Oh, yeah?
He kept me laughing. Craig T. Cooper from Detroit, excellent guitarist. I got a chance to work with him 4 or 5 dates, something like that.
Have you done it all? Or is there, I mean, obviously you're going to keep, you're just getting started.
I'm just getting good.
What haven't you done yet?
What haven't I done yet?
Yeah.
It's not what I haven't done, it's what haven't I done the way that I wanted to do it.
Okay, all right.
I'm getting my second win, and yeah, I feel something good.
Something's coming.
You know, because I've played sideman to some of the best musicians on the planet, but I think that I'm gonna have a chance at bat for Jimmy Allen.
Okay, all right. Any did you get into like being a studio musician as well? Like, was that part of the gig?
You know, I did some
live.
I did some recording in Chicago. I was much younger. I got called in to sub for the bass player who was, I'm not sure who it was, but it was Donny Hathaway's session. And I came in, I think I laid down 3 tracks. I'm not sure if they were ever released. But the studio thing is kind of, for me, and this is another lesson from the older players, short of the Nathan East and Lee Sklar, you know, Nathan East he was crowned the highest paid bass player in the world 5 years ago.
Oh.
And, you know, so he does the Eric Clapton gigs. He does the, was it Lee Sklar? His career has taken him to the point where if Anita Baker, or just say, you know,
sure,
somebody has got a CD to be recorded and he's out on the road, most times somebody else is going to get the call.
Right.
They'll wait on Nathan East. So right? I'm saying that to say that you usually have to choose one side or the other.
Right.
Either you're going to stay put and work on a studio career, and it's not always the case, but he has accomplished that to the point of where the average producer will wait for him.
Wow.
You know, and that says a lot.
It sure does.
You know, the short amount of time that I did put in, I enjoyed it, and it's the same kind of thing that I was talking about, the video thing, and where, you know, the studio magnifies every nano mistake.
Yeah, right.
Every nano
it's
mistake
is perfect, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like, and it's even worse when you're singing. If you get brought into to sing parts, harmony parts, and you hear your voice, it's like, oh God, please.
Nobody likes the sound of their own voice. I don't either, and it's what I do. Like, I just go.
Some people do.
Yeah. Some people do like the sound of their own voice.
I imagine that Luther Vandross liked the sound of his voice.
I would imagine, yes.
There will never be another voice like that. I've had a good run, and like I say, I'm serious that I'm just getting warmed up.
Good for you.
I really am.
Well, let's go shift again and go back in time to growing up, like before you started playing. What was life like growing up, being raised?
My dad drove the L trains in Chicago for CTA.
Oh, okay.
He was a motorman. My mom was a beautician. She had her own shop for many a year, and then she gave that shop up and went and just, you know, basically rented a chair.
Right.
But excellent musician. And I think
she was a musician?
No, I'm sorry. Why did I say
that?
beautician.
Beautician. Yeah, right. Okay.
I did say musician.
Yeah, that's okay. It was a brain. I was like, there's something else in there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Just shows I was listening.
I've got 3 older sisters.
Okay.
Barbara, Dolores, and Cynthia. And I know that Cynthia, in school they played instruments. I think Cynthia played clarinet and Barbara played the flute. No, Dee Dee played anything. I don't think so. But other than my siblings, there was no place else in the family that I could trace a musician. You know, I got interested with the onslaught of the British invasion. You know, when the Stones came in and the Beatles and that whole thing.
Yeah.
And it stuck. It stuck. I'm glad it did, you know, because all the kids in the neighborhood wanted drums and guitars and this and that. But
sounds like mom and dad were busy though, like you know. Between.
Oh yeah, but very much supportive of my music.
Yeah. But I mean, 4 children, like I mean that's busy.
Yeah.
And you did so like older sisters. So were they part of the raising you?
Yes, well, absolutely they were part of. They were part of. If you ask Beverley Boone, they were part of spoiling me rotten.
Oh, okay.
I'm the baby.
Right.
I'm the baby, and she always said, "Boy, you are a spoiled rat."
Do they still do that?
My sisters?
Yeah.
No, but we're very close.
You are. That's good.
The 4 of us are very close.
Yeah.
So my dad passed in 98. My mom passed 13 months later in 99. And my middle sister, Barbara, and her significant other, Chuck, moved to Las Vegas in 94 and built a house.
Okay.
And in 99, I was playing with a keyboard player that I had come up with from Chicago, Galib Galab. And he was doing Caesars and Harris. And then 2 weeks in Vegas, 2 weeks in Chicago down on Rush Street. We bounced back and forth. Somewhere along the line, I decided to move to Vegas. So I was the second one there. I was in Vegas for 16 years. My oldest sister, Cynthia, lost her husband, Ronald, to colon cancer. She couldn't decide whether she wanted to go to Florida or come to Vegas. She decided on Vegas. So all 4 of us were, you know, and we've always been like
That's
that.
great.
Yeah, always been like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. To this very day.
What do you follow along outside of the musical world? Like, do you follow politics? Do you follow what else? What else is there about Jimmy Allen besides music?
What else is there? I don't know. You know, I follow politics enough to know which side I'm on.
Right. Great.
Just enough.
Great
just
answer.
Enough, just enough.
Love it.
And I'm the same way with sports.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think part of that is because I became very protective of my hands. But, you know, at the same time, it's kind of like I feel about television now. If I have time to turn a television show on and watch something stupid, which is, you know, I mean that
Which is a lot of it, let's be honest.
Yeah, but then I have time to come down here
Yeah.
and do something that's going to make me a stronger musician,
Yeah.
not just a stronger bassist.
Yeah.
I consider myself a musician, and that's that next level.
It's hard too, right? Because I know for me, working at home, basically, I just did it this morning. I got up and it started part of my routine. And my routine's different every day, but I sat down and started watching a show that I'm like, oh, this is a really great show. And then I had to go, oh, shut it off because, well, I mean, aside from the fact I knew I had an interview here with you, I'd be like, I wouldn't get anything done.
Right.
And I would just assume, like, I don't have a game on my phone. There's not one game on my phone. The only time there's ever a game on my phone is if I'm getting on an airplane for a long time.
Sure.
And I've something to do.
Yeah. That's acceptable.
But similarly, I just love my own way of creating and who am I going to interview next and what am I going to do and who can I help, all that stuff, right? You know, and
Our time is short. Our time is short.
We've canceled. We have one service now, but we've canceled Netflix, Paramount, Apple TV. It's gone.
Yeah.
Because
I remember.
I get hooked.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's
Do you
4 o'clock
remember the
and
days?
I've done nothing.
Do you remember the days when first there was cable?
Yeah.
You know.
I remember
Bev
the TV tower days.
Yeah, but Bev and I have Fire Sticks.
Oh,
we have
yeah,
Fire
yeah,
Sticks
yeah,
here
yeah.
and in Florida, and it's still just like the cable. They
Yeah.
show the same stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
she's got live television.
Who needs 500 channels?
Nobody. Nobody. It's just to be able to say it. And then you end up scrolling through it for half an hour and you can't find anything that you want to see.
We got YouTube, so I mean, why do we even need
YouTube, I will go to because there's videos.
Yeah,
I love
learning.
to sit and watch Herbie Hancock and Vinnie Kelly.
Oh, Herbie Hancock. And you know what's, we're running out of time to have this one, but Herbie Hancock, like, you know, in the 80s, like that's when I first heard about him because he came out with that big, what was it called now? I can't remember.
Rocket?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
And it was huge for the break dancing and all that stuff.
Sure.
But what's sad about that is I mean, it was great, but it's like he did so much more. But we've stuck on that one song that really brought him to
because that was the one that got radio play. That was
Right?
the one that got radio
Oh.
play. Herbie Hancock
Amazing.
goes back to, for me, 70s. He spent a lot of time with Miles Davis, as well as Ron Carter and Pete Cozy and Tony Williams, Wayne Shorter. Those cats. Miles was a beast. He was always willing to find out what was new.
Did you ever know him?
Never, no. I know two of my buddies out of Chicago played with Miles. Actually, three of them: Darryl Jones, Richard Patterson, and Angus Thomas. All three of them played with Miles. After that 5-6 year hiatus that he went through. But when he came back, you know, he had the whole sparkly thing going on.
He came back strong.
Yeah, he came back strong, man. But jazz, it's kind of, and I'm going to go ahead and say this, it's a dying art here in, sometime I forget where I'm at, in the U.S. If you go abroad, if you go to Asia, if you go to the UK, jazz is huge.
Yeah.
So that's where everybody goes, you know. And then, but I mean, there's still a large group of people. It's a big world.
I was in Budapest recently, and
were you?
And it was amazing. It was all over, and I was like, I'm going to that place tonight. Because I can go here, and here, where anytime. But I'm in Budapest. I'm going there, and they
still got some bomb jazz festivals. Man,
it was amazing.
You know, so
And this was like February, you know, and they were anyway.
Yeah. But at the same time, you know, they have the New Pet Jazz Fest. They have these jazz fests all over the world. But what is happening now is 40% of it can be considered jazz, and the rest of it is R&B. Shaka Khan will be on the bill, and you know, whatever. Even though she does some really great jazz stuff, and I'm just saying that you know, it's about the money.
Well, and again, she had that
business.
hit right in the '80s again, like
Night in Tunisia.
Khan, you know, that was the name of the song, and it brought her forefront to the mainstream of things. Another one,
she's
really
very
so
talented.
many. Oh yeah, right.
Very talented girl.
Jimmy, it's oh sorry, go ahead, finish.
No, she went to high school near where I grew up at and graduated with some friends of mine. Calumet High School in Chicago. But recently, I don't know why, but I started looking at her body of work, and this is amazing, man. She couldn't have been 22 years old. I'm watching videos of her with Rufus, and then when she started doing the solo thing, just out of this world, man.
Yeah.
Out of this world. She's a talented girl.
For sure.
Talented girl.
Jimmy, I wish I had more time, buddy.
Hey, man. I appreciate.
Well, here, cheers.
I appreciate you.
Thank you so
to
much.
you, my friend. Thank you.
I'm grateful for you who shares your talents with all of us.
Thank you. Thank you.
And,
Thank you.
I know we're going to talk some more. It's the after interview that I always really enjoy as well, too. But this has been...
I'm grateful
I didn't have to do much. You're a great storyteller.
To spend time with you.
Yeah, man.
Even, not sharing the music.
Yeah.
Let's do it just a blessing. It's just a blessing to be here. Man.
You're awesome. Listen, this is the point, everybody. I say thanks for watching, but click the like, the love, and of course, click the share button so we can share Jimmy Allen's story and everybody else here. But as always, that's all the time I got for you this week. Have a great week and an even better weekend. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
In the show. Yeah. Bye for now.